Admiral Vexthar's mandibles clicked with amusement as he observed the human vessel through the tactical display. The UES Defiance, a destroyer barely 200 meters long, drifted alone in the asteroid field like a lost child. Around it, his hegemony fleet of 300 warships formed a perfect encirclement. Cruisers, battleships, and dreadnoughts that dwarfed the human craft by orders of magnitude. "This is what the humans send to negotiate?" Commander Zilk hissed. His serpentine form coiled around his station. "One pathetic destroyer against our entire third fleet?" Vexthar's four eyes gleamed with predatory satisfaction. For cycles, the Galactic hegemony had dismissed humanity as a minor species. Their ships were small, their weapons primitive, their technology laughably inefficient. While other species built massive vessels bristling with plasma cannons and shield generators, humans crafted sleek, minimalist ships that looked more like toys than instruments of war. "Open a channel," Vexthar commanded. The main screen flickered to life, revealing the bridge of the human destroyer. A single figure stood at its center, Captain Elena Rodriguez. Her dark hair pulled back severely, her brown eyes steady and unafraid despite facing impossible odds. "Captain Rodriguez," Vexthar's voice boomed across subspace. "You have entered hegemony space without authorization. Surrender immediately, and we may allow your species to continue existing as our servants." Rodriguez smiled, a cold, sharp expression that made several of Vexthar's crew shift uncomfortably. "Admiral, I'm here to deliver a message from the United Earth Systems. We formally reject your ultimatum to abandon our colonies in the Outer Rim. Furthermore, we're prepared to defend our sovereign territory by any means necessary." Laughter rippled through the hegemony fleet's comm channels. Vexthar's mandibles spread wider. "Captain, you face 300 ships with crews totaling over 2 million warriors. You have one destroyer with, perhaps 200 crew members? Your defiance is admirable but futile." "You're right about one thing," Rodriguez replied, her fingers dancing over her command console. "I do only have one ship. But you've made a critical error in your assessment." "And what might that be?" Rodriguez's smile widened. "You assumed our ships are weak because they're small." The Defiance suddenly blazed to life. Every surface that had appeared to be simple hull plating retracted, revealing weapon systems unlike anything the hegemony had encountered. Dozens of missile ports opened along the destroyer's flanks, while previously invisible turrets emerged from seamless armor. But most shocking of all was the ship's sudden energy signature. It had increased by a factor of 50 in mere seconds. "Impossible," Zilk whispered. "No ship that size could generate that much power." Commander Thek, the hegemony's chief science officer, frantically worked at his console. "Admiral, I'm detecting massive gravitational anomalies inside their ship. It's as if they've compressed the power core of a dreadnought into that tiny hull." Vexthar's amusement evaporated. "All ships, open fire! Destroy that vessel immediately." 300 ships unleashed hell. Plasma beams, particle cannons, and fusion torpedoes converged on the Defiance in a display of firepower that should have vaporized any known vessel. But the human destroyer simply wasn't there anymore. It had moved, not with conventional engines, but with instantaneous spatial displacement that defied physics. One moment it was surrounded. The next it was behind the hegemony's formation and their weapons struck empty space or their own ships caught in crossfire. "Where did it?" Vexthar began, but was cut off as the Defiance opened fire. The human weapons were unlike anything in hegemony databases. Instead of energy beams or explosive projectiles, they fired what appeared to be tears in space itself. Dark rifts that consumed everything they touched. A cruiser simply ceased to exist as one of these weapons passed through it. Another battleship imploded as its structural integrity was negated at the molecular level. "Evasive maneuvers!" Vexthar roared. But the human destroyer was already gone again, reappearing in the heart of his formation. More ships vanished into the void as the Defiance continued its impossible dance through space. Commander Thek's voice cracked with panic. "Admiral, they're not using conventional physics. Their weapons are manipulating space-time directly. And their movement system, it's not propulsion, it's dimensional folding." The tactical display showed the devastating truth. In less than 3 minutes, the Defiance had eliminated 67 ships without taking a single hit. The mighty Third Fleet, pride of the hegemony, was being systematically dismantled by a single human destroyer. "How?" Vexthar demanded. "How is this possible?" Captain Rodriguez's voice cut through the chaos on an open channel. While your species focused on building bigger ships with more guns, humanity took a different approach. We asked a simple question. What if size doesn't matter? What if the most effective warship isn't the largest, but the most efficient? Another spatial rift consumed a dreadnought. The ship's death scream echoed across comm channels. We discovered that by miniaturizing and perfecting our technology instead of scaling it up, we could pack the firepower of your largest vessels into hulls a fraction of the size. Every system on this ship represents centuries of human innovation focused on one goal: maximum lethality in minimum space. The Defiance reappeared directly in front of Vexthar's flagship, its weapon ports glowing with contained destruction. The Admiral stared into what he now recognized as the face of humanity's true nature. Not weak, not primitive, but terrifyingly efficient. "Your move, Admiral," Rodriguez said softly. Vexthar looked at his tactical display. Of his 300 ships, fewer than 200 remained functional. His crews were in full panic, some vessels fleeing despite direct orders. The humans had sent one destroyer to deliver a message, and that message was crystal clear. "All ships," Vexthar's voice was barely a whisper. "Stand down. Retreat to safe distance." As his broken fleet limped away from the asteroid field, Vexthar realized the galaxy's greatest mistake. They had laughed at humanity's small ships, dismissing them as the products of a species that couldn't build anything impressive. They were wrong. Humanity hadn't built small ships because they couldn't build large ones. They had built small ships because they didn't need large ones. The Defiance watched them go, alone once again in the asteroid field, a tiny destroyer that had just redefined the balance of power in the galaxy. Rodriguez smiled as she opened a channel to Earth Command. "Mission accomplished. The hegemony has received our message. I don't think they'll be bothering our colonies anymore." In the depths of space, the human destroyer waited, patient and deadly, living proof that sometimes the smallest package contains the biggest surprise.